Hey guys, happy Saturday. Here in the office, it is about 10:50, 10:55, doing some stuff, and back here with another video. Wanted to talk to you guys about two things. One, DU, which is Desktop Underwriter, which I'll go into, and two, how to use some of those findings to your advantage. So, Desktop Underwriter is something that every file goes through, and it's an automated underwriting system, and it basically provides guidance to us and to the underwriters on how to underwrite and approve a file. It'll break down, what was required for income, how many months of bank statements, verifications of rent, really 100 different things that it wants to see, mostly that are standard things, but sometimes that aren't. And so the situation that I'm going to talk to you about today was a situation with a buyer that came to us who had trouble getting approved through a different lender because he had some rental issues. And he came to us and it was disclosed to us up front. He said, "Look, I've got a good credit score. I make good money. I have a low debt to income ratio, but I really hit a snag with my prior lender because I have a rental issue. I can't provide a verification of rent." So I said, "Well, hold on. I mean, let's see what this gives us, because sometimes DU won't call for a verification of rent. In fact, a lot of the times we don't even have to touch verifications of rent." But in this buyer's particular case, he was a manual downgrade, so he had to be manually underwritten, and DU was calling for a 12-month verification of rent. And most importantly, where he ran into the problem before that he brought up front with us is that DU was calling for a 12-month verification of rent with 0 30-day late payments, which is where he ran into problems, because this particular buyer lived in an apartment complex. He lived there for 10-something years, 10 or 11 years, and the way that he gets paid every month is that he gets paid on the 10th, and then he pays his rent on the 11th. All right, so he gets a single paycheck per month, paid on the 10th, pays his rent on the 11th. The problem was that his apartment complex rent was due on the 1st. So every single month, he would have rent due on the 1st. He would have to wait 10 days to get paid. He'd get paid on the 10th, and then he would pay his rent on the 11th. All right, so every single month, his apartment complex would basically put him into an eviction status, because if you didn't pay your rent by the 10th, they would file an eviction notice against you, paste it to your door, and on the 11th he would pay his rent and they would take the notice off. So when we got his VOR back, or his verification of rent, it showed that it was something ridiculous, like 46 months in a row that he had been late on his rent payments. And I mean, it was almost personal. Like, they had it in red Sharpie. It was, highlighted and circled and exclamation points, and like all these things were crossed out. It was like, I don't know, it was like a little brother like mad at his big brother or something like that. It was bizarre. And so I saw this and I was like, "Ah, crap. Like, we can't approve this dude. I mean, look at this VOR. This is a train wreck." And we looked at it a little bit closer, and we showed, because they made a note in there saying that he pays his rent on the 11th every month, and that rent is due on the 1st. And I said, okay, well, that's, maybe there's a silver lining here. So I called the apartment complex, got the story, called the buyer, got the story, and the apartment complex and the buyer both provided me with a monthly ledger of what his rent payments are. And every single month on the date, every month on the 11th, he paid his rent every single month on the 11th, and it matched his story. He paid his rent, just wasn't on time per the apartment complex's agreement. And so this is where DU came into play, because DU is calling for 12-month verification of rent with 0 30-day lates. And in this buyer's case, was it late for the apartment complex? Yes, it was. No getting around that. But for our purposes, we just had to show that he wasn't 30 days late. All right? Did he exceed 30 days on any particular month where he paid his rent that much later? And the answer was no. So we documented it. We got a revised VOR from the apartment complex, and we had the buyer write a letter of explanation just talking about why he pays on the 11th every month. And we had the ledger, we had his explanation, we had his pay stubs that show he's paid on the 10th every month. We just documented it. We used common sense. We followed DU. We didn't write or underwrite to feel good or fuzzy feelings. We said, does he adhere to the guideline? Does he adhere to what DU is calling for? Yes, good to go. So again, just another situation of common sense. Looking at the situation, digging a little under the surface to figure out what's going on. And we had a situation that wasn't really a situation at all. The buyer, we closed him in just 25, 26 days. And it was a manual downgrade. It was a VA loan. and now we have a happy veteran who, he served his country and we got to serve him. So great situation. Really not a complicated one, but still one that evidently somebody else couldn't really handle because they didn't want to dig, an inch under the surface. So anyway, just wanted to, kind of run you through another scenario of another buyer that we helped out that, didn't think that he could buy a home because of some weird situation, and just a little extra effort, and now they're homeowners. So yeah, that's about all I got this weekend. You guys have a great Saturday, and I will see you later. Bye.